यो नित्यमच्युतपदां भजयुग्मरुक्म व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धो रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये कौडिन्यवंशवरवारिधि पूर्णचन्द्रं श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशपदाम्बुजभृङ्गराजं रङ्गार्यदेशिकपदाप्तशुदेशिकत्वं श्रीरामकृष्णगुरुवर्यमहं प्रपद्ये लोकाचार्याय गुरवे कृष्णपादस्य सूनवे संसारभोगिसन्द्रष्ट जीवजीवातवे नमः।
श्रीमद्यतीन्द्रवरयोगी पदाब्जभृङ्गं शिवानशैलमुनिवर्य दैकपात्रं विज्ञानवेदशिखरोत्तव तत्त्वबोधिं रामानुजं कलिजितं मुनिमाश्रयामः।
Today, Ishwara Prakaran. We would start with the Bhumika today, just trying to enter the topic. What is Ishwara? Who is Ishwara? Why we should understand Ishwara? What have we been doing so far and where we are trying to head with this? What kind of Tattwa are we understanding and who is reaching this Tattwa? We started with Chit Prakaranam. मुमुक्षु चेतनस्य मोक्ष सिद्धये तत्वत्रय ज्ञानम अपेक्षितम तत्वत्रयम चित अचित ईश्वरश्च चिदचिद ईश्वरश्च. We started with that. चित आत्मोच्यते ज्ञान स्वरूपम गत्वा गत्वोत्तरोत्तरम इत्युक्त प्रकारेण देहेन्द्रिय मनः प्राण बुद्धिभ्यो विलक्षणम. And then we understood the concept of what chitta is. If you notice tattvatrayam, all ready now?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, okay. Sorry. You can take your time if you're not ready, no problem. If you notice till now, how we have entered these topics, each of them, have been in a peculiar manner. So, we understood chitta by understanding what chitta is not. Essentially. This concept in Latin is called reductio ad absurdum. So, if you can't prove what it is, you disprove the contrary. A similar concept has been used here. Because we are not able to directly fathom what chitta is, we try and go around it and say what it is not, and whatever remains it must be. Ajadam, Anandarupam, Nityam, Niravayavam, Nirvikaram, Jnanashraya Bhutam, Ishwarasya Niyamyam, Dharyam Sesham. Even if you look at each of these qualities, essentially it is saying what it is not. It is small, it's so small that you cannot see. So that which you cannot see must be it. If you see it, you cannot call that Atma. It is Anantam. What exists right now and it always existed. So we only know what exists now and what perishes now. So everything perishes. That which does not perish and which we cannot see must be Atma. Nityam, Nityatvam. Vikara. Everything there is Vikara today. There is change. For changes from one form to another. Our observation mandates that we see change. And the concept of change is an outcome of our concept of time. We understand time because it moves. What moves? Change happens and time is perceived through that change. There is Vikara. Atma is Nirvikara. That entity which does not undergo change must be that entity which is Atma. And then we look back and say, I am Devnarayan when I was 5 years old. When I'll be 50, I'll be Devnarayan. 150 also. Myself, if I live that long, the 100 years old, Devnarayan will not cease to exist. The name may change. Okay. But when the Devnarayan wakes up in the morning, what will he say? He'll say, I am. The self-existence will not perish. That is unchanging. This must be referring to this Atma. And then we come to that. Dharyam. It holds Bhagavana within it. And Sesham, subservient to Bhagavana.
Right.
So we think we are Swatantra. Because every action in our lives, 90% of it is Swatantra. Swatantra means independent. You wake up when your body tells you to wake up. And then we say we want to do it for Bhagavana. But in our Sankalpam, it is an individual Sankalpam. Every Sankalpam is. What do we try and do with Shastram, Bhakti, Jnana? What are the two sons of Bhakti? Jnana and Vairagya. Jnana, Vairagya. So this Jnana and Vairagya we try and inculcate within us to induce Bhakti, and contrarily, we try and allow Bhakti to retain within our Vakshasthala. Bhakti Devi to sit here so that Jnana and Vairagya can come within. Using this Bhakti Devi as a medium, Jnana and Vairagya comes within this life of ours, and then our journey to being subservient to Bhagavana begins. When can we say that Bhakti Devi retains and stays within us? When we listen to Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said that wherever Srimad Bhagavatam Purana is happening, Papas will remain outside. They will start fighting among themselves. They will say, we cannot enter now. There is no place for us to be. Because Papam will not enter the mandap of Srimad Bhagavatam where Purana is happening. The Vyasapita, anywhere near there. And the moment you enter, Bhakti Devi, the moment the story begins, Bhakti Devi will inadvertently be there. You have a hall full of people. Nobody saw Bhakti Devi come in and nobody sees her go out. But she comes with Jnana and Vairagya always remaining there. And because there is no place for her to sit, because there are so many people, she sits in the hearts of all the devotees who are there. This bhakti allows us to understand this Param Tattvam called Ishwara. Now bhakti is that concept of us being able to understand through this jnana and the detachment from material nature. We must be different from that material nature then. Because if we are attached to something, that which you are attached to must be different from what you are.
Mm-hmm.
So you must be different from the material existence, which we called Achit. Achit also we divided into Shuddha Sattvam, Mishra Sattvam, Sattva Shunyam. Shuddha Sattvam is what we are trying to achieve through this journey of bhakti. Essentially, we'll understand that we are not really trying to achieve it at some point. But essentially, in the Sthula Rupa, that is where we are trying to go. Mishra Sattva happens when we descend down, Avibhaktatama, Vibhaktatama, and then how we have gone through all of that, right? Mishra Sattva. And then, through the concept of time, why is time important? Sattva Shunyam. Because time brings the Bheda in Atma. What are the three Bhedas we talk? Baddha, Nitya, Baddha and Mukta. Nitya means always remain in Vaikuntham only. Vaikuntha is also the name of Bhagavana. Vaikuntha Devi's son Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is also the place. Always there in Vaikuntham, those Jivatmas are called Nitya. Mukta means an outcome of time, right? A point where they were not Mukta and now they are Mukta. So once they were Baddha and now they are not Baddha. There are two time frames. So Sattva Shunyam comes into play there. Mukta and then Baddha has always remained in the state of bondage within the Leela Vibhuti, has not been able to come up.
Mm-hmm.
This Shravana Satra that we have, this is not an outcome of karma. Karma will give us papam and punyam based on what the Vedam say. This Shravana Satra is out of the Nirhetu Kripa of Bhagavan. This kripa which has directed us towards listening to Bhagavatam, listening to Bhagavan, listening to Ishwara Tattwa, listening to this Tattwa Trayam, and it will further allow you different forums to be in association with Bhakta. Parikshit Maharaj could have ended the life of Kali Yuga right there and then. But he chose not to for specific reasons. Because of the qualities of Kali. In spite of all the evil qualities of Kali, there are good qualities. What in Krita Yuga you attain through Raja Yoga, through the Dhyana of Bhagavana in that Sankalpam. In Treta Yuga you attain through Yagam. Through Dwapar Yuga you attain through Upasana. In Kali you attain through just Nama Sankirtana. Just through Nama. In Treta, Dwapar and Krita Yuga, if you mispronounce the word name of Bhagavana, mispronounce the mantras, the Viparit Artha will come to you. That is completely different from what happens in Kali Yuga. You say Sita Rama, Krishna, Krishna, Ram, Rama, Ramo. All of them will attribute the same qualities and will refer to the same Bhagavana, and you will gain the same result. In Kali Yugam, there is no difference here. In Krita, Dwapar and Treta, even thinking something wrong will bring you bad karma. In Kali Yugam, you will not incur bad karma. You will not incur papam just by thinking. There are good qualities to this yoga, and due to that, this Kali was spared by Parikshit Maharaj. And for those 7 days of Shravana Satra Srimad Bhagavatam, he understood this Paramatattva which we call Ishwara. Ishte iti Ishwara. Ishwaraha. जो तत्व षड ऐश्वर्य से युक्त हैं, इष्टे इति ईश्वर. The Pratham Sutra here, Ishwaro Akhila Heya Pratyanika Ananta Jnanandika Swarupo. Who is this Ishwara? That entity, the Shad Aishwarya se Yukta, Jnana Shakti Virya Teja Bala Aishwarya. In 6 Aishwarya se Yukta hai. As we move ahead, we will understand each of them in greater depth. Okay? At this moment in time, we'll just understand it as what it is. Akhila Heya Pratyanika. Now, Akhila means of the entire world, but it is referring to without leaving anything else. Leaving nothing else. What remains? Akhila. If you leave nothing else, what will remain? Everything. That is Akhila. When you encompass just everything, there may be a doubt that, did I leave something? We have gathered everybody from the... Have you watched this film, Home Alone? Home Alone, the first one, they break each of them into 2 groups. And they are under the assumption, this is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 they do. They are under the assumption that the group which has 8 people have more number of, less number of people in their car. However, both the teams are under the impression that they have 8. So they actually leave one person behind. So they are under the assumption that they brought everybody together. But if they thought about Bhagavana, they would have asked, have we left anyone behind? Akhila means without leaving anything else. Heya, tyajya vastu se rahit. Here refers to त्याज्य वस्तु. त्याज्य वस्तु क्या है? जिसको त्याग किया जाता है. जैसे you use a toothbrush, दातुन, दातुन and दंतमंज. You use a toothbrush, you brush your teeth for 2 months, 3 months, however long nowadays the dentists, they keep changing their ideas on how long you should use one toothbrush. Then they use, after 4 or 5 months, the bristles also, they'll curl up at the top. In our villages, people use it for years on end. But if you must change, there is a point where it is unusable. So what do you do when it is unusable? You discard it. There is nothing worth discarding in Bhagavan. Here, if you Pratyanika, Jnanandaika Swarupa, Jnana or Ananda ke Swarupa hain, these are synonyms of one another. We'll understand this in slightly greater depth. But Jnana and Ananda ke Swarup क्या है? जब ज्ञान होता है तभी आनंद की प्राप्ति होती है. जब ज्ञान नहीं होता आनंद नहीं होता. आनंद ही ज्ञान का स्वरूप है. One is complementary to the other. Jnana is only Ananda. Satya Sankalpa, Satya Jnana. Satya Sankalpa comes later. Where Bhagavan or whatever he desires. Satya Sankalpa is what? We have Sankalpa, right? I'm going to have that session at 6 o'clock here, 1, 2 o'clock. There's no Satya Sankalpa, we are having at 8 o'clock. For whatever reason, we don't have that capacity to have Satya Sankalpa. So that's why we have this Tantra Vidya. Even in Yoga Shastra, we say, if you are able to speak the truth for 12 years without lying, even in your mind, that is the greatest of yogis to perform such austerities. Without saying, speaking, thinking or doing anything which is other than what it is, which is a lie, mithya, say, rahit, pratyani, rahit. After 12 years, your vachana becomes such satya, sankalpa se yukta ho jata hai, it becomes complete with the truth, that whatever you say, it becomes true. Even if it is not true, it will become true. Because the reverberation of the universe is such that whatever you say is true, so when it is not true also, it pushes the universe to make it true. That is the concept of Shrapam and Ashirvadam. Great acharyas have that Satya Sankalpa. They only speak the truth. They will never lie. Even in their mind, they have only that Satyatvam within them. So when they say Ayushman Bhava, Chiranjeevi Bhava, that is Satya Sankalpa, that is Ashirvadam. That's why we yearn for Ashirvadam of the elders. Jnana Shakti Adi Kalyana Guna Vibhushitaha. Jnana Shakti Adi. Jnana Shakti Virya Teja Bala Aishwarya. This is what they are referring to. Adi. Kalyana Guna Vibhushitaha. Here Guna. Great Vyakhyan has been done in this, the word Shabda. The Akshara here is the Shabda Guna. What is Guna? Let's divide Guna into two parts. Nirguna and Saguna. निर्गुण क्या है? निंदित गुणों से रहित. Without any qualities which may blemish Bhagavan. Blemishless. निर्गुण. और सगुण. दिव्य कल्याण गुणों से संपन्न है. And with all the good qualities. That entity is Bhagavan. Nirguna and Saguna. This in Vedanta is referred to as Ubhaya Lingi. Ubhaya Lingi. भगवान का नाम ही है उभय लिंगी. Bhagavan's name is Ubhaya Lingi. Linga means chinha. For instance, in our Shastra, if you go according to Shastra, when the Ardhangini, the wife, prepares food, she offers to Bhagavan through the husband, and then the husband eats, and then the wife eats. This is the parampara of the Grihastha. There are certain things that are only apt for certain audiences because they have the maturity to understand the concept. If you don't have maturity to understand a certain concept, viparit arth nikalta hai usse, and alpa jnana is a very difficult position to be in because that will only cause misery. Nowadays all kinds of things come up, so it's just better. Now, when the husband goes for like 10-15 days, he goes out, he has some work, he goes to... Now how does she eat? Now husband is not there, you can't offer to husband only, so will she stay hungry for 10 days? She will not. So what will she do? Some chinha, she'll put a photo maybe in the modern day and age photo, some thumbprint, something which is of the husband. She'll put it there. Once she cooks, she offers Bhagavana and she offers to the husband. and just thinks that, oh husband, I hope you have eaten. Now I am going to eat. Okay. And then she eats. That photo is the Chinha, the lingam, referring, making understand who it is referring to. A great story in the Bhagavatam also. If you the story of how when the Krishna performed the Rasa Leela. So now, if you think about what really happened at that time, I mean, different acharyas have different commentaries on this, to be very honest with you, and they have approached this concept in various ways. Nevertheless, if you take the same idea, for instance, where the wife for the past 10 days has been offering food to the linga of the husband there, the chinha somewhere, and she provides whatever food that she must. On the 10th day, what happens? Husband comes. Now she has just offered food. She's about to eat. She's offering food. She's going to eat. Husband comes in. Now should she finish offering food, or should she go and visit the husband? And she should do whatever she needs to do to the husband who has actually come. Who has actually come. This is an embodiment of what she's actually referring to. Correct. That's the argument given by many bhaktas within Ramayana and Mahabharata also, and it was given by the Gopinis also. They said that when we do the marriage ceremony, the Vishnu Vigraha is this Bhagavan, is this husband of mine that I am marrying. Because Vishnu Bhagavan is not coming by himself, I am marrying Vishnu through him. So I am actually married to Vishnu. Sri Vishnu is who I am married to. So when you are calling me, if you are here, why will I stay with my husband? You are my actual husband. He has just been here till now, like that photo. The concept of chinha is understood here. The embodiment of what actually is. Leenam artham gamayati iti lingam. Here, linga is referred to leenam artham. Leena here, vilina, sukshma avastha mein jo rehte hai, that which cannot be understood. At this moment, husband can be understood, wife can be understood, because Bhagavana is in such a form, it cannot be completely perceived the way we are able to with our limited intellect. We find vigrahas to represent it, that is called linga. Sukshma avastha mein. So in the Brahma Sutra, Ubhaya Linga has been mentioned. Ubhaya Linga Dhikaranam has been done in the Brahma Sutra. 3rd Adhyaya, 2nd Pada, from the Sutra 11 to 25. If you go back and check. The Ubhaya Linga has been done in the Shri Bhasyam. You have to, of course, read the Bhasyam only, otherwise different acharyas have given different commentaries. Here, Bhagavan has been referred to as Ubhaya Lingi. Here it is referring to Nindit Guno se Rahit or Divya Guno se Sampanna Bhagavan Ubhaya Lingi. The same thing has been referred to by Ramanujacharya in the Sri Sharanagati Gadya. Akhila heya pratyanika kalyanaika tan. Akhila heya pratyanika. समस्त निंदित गुणों से जो प्रत्यनीक है, रहित है. हे इज त्याज्य वस्तु. Akhila, leaving nothing, all the tajya vastu, he is devoid of all that. Kalyanaika tana. समस्त कल्याण गुणों से संपन्न है. With all the good, beautiful qualities, he is full of that. स्वेतर समस्त वस्तु विलक्षणा. स्व इतर अखिल हेय प्रत्यनीक कल्याणैकतान. श्वेत रसमस्त वस्तु विलक्षण. स्व इतर वस्तु विलक्षण. अपने से जो इतर वस्तु हैं, Itara means different from the self. What are the itara vastus from Bhagavan? Here it is referring to Maya and Jiva, Chitta and Achitta. Swa itara vastu vilakshana. He is different from the Chitta and Achitta. Because we have differentiated Chitta and Achitta separately, Ishwara is a different Tattwa inside which Chitta and Achitta also reside. That's why it's Advaita. But without Chitta and Achitta also Bhagavan has his own Satta. He will still remain without the Chitta and Achitta. Chitta cannot sustain by itself because the form of Chitta is given by Bhagavan, Sankalpa, except Shuddha Sattvam. Achitta cannot survive without the Antaryami Swarupa Bhagavan Sriman Narayana. So Bhagavan is Swatantra by himself. Sweta Samastara Vastu Vilakshana. Now, what does Valmiki say? Bhagavad Valmiki, the Adi Kavi, Kon asmin sampratam loke gunavan kascha viryavan. Upanyasaka, great Upanyasaka, I was listening to him a long time ago, and he had mentioned that how Valmiki Ramayana is, it's almost like a wheel. So it starts at the end. So Bhagwan Sri Ram has just sent the pregnant Sita to the forest to Valmiki ashram. Bhagavad Valmiki comes to know of this plight and then questions the character of Rama. But because he can't question directly, because the entire life he has become Valmiki with the name of Rama. Ramante sarve janaha gunaehi asminiti Ramaha. Whose name only brings joy to the entire universe. When he was born, there was only joy. Ramante sarve janaha. That kind of quality, gunaehi asmin iti, the Ramaha. How could a person, Maryada Purushottam Bhagavan Sri Ram, do such a heinous action like this? Now Bhagavan Ram, once he says something, he will do. There is no second guessing what he has done. He doesn't take back, not like Bhagavan Krishna. Krishna will say something, he will do something else. Sri Krishna is like that. So it says, they say, Acharyas say, that do what Rama did and perform, listen to what Krishna said. If you start doing what Krishna did, then you will get beaten every day. So Valmiki, with great grief in him, he contemplates upon Narad, Bhagavan Narad. Narad ji comes down, he's Avesh Avatar, no? Bhagavan only, he's Avatar only, Avesh Avatar. One of the 24 avatars, Narad ji also comes. Then he asks Narad, Kon asmin sampratam loke gunavan kascha viryavan dharma. And then, so he says, who is this entity who is the best of men with all the qualities, gunas, gunavan kascha viryavan? Who is this question? He asks Narad. But the funny thing what Valmiki ji does is, after he asks Gunavan is referring to all the qualities already. But then he goes ahead and says, Dharmagyascha kritagyascha satyavakyo dridhavrataha charitrena cha ko yuktaha sarvabhuteshu kohitaha vidwan kah samarthascha kaschaika priyadarshanaha yuge. He lists out all the 16 qualities. So Acharyas asks Srimad Valmiki, why after you mention Gunavan have you listed out all the gunas, all the 16 gunas? So for that we must go to Ramayana Bhushan. Now what is Ramayana Bhushan? Sri Ramanujacharya, he listened to Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana 18 times under Shailya Purna Swamiji. 18 times in his lifetime. And in each time he had a different bhasya, different meaning to the same shlokas. Remember, Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi Mam Vidhi Janakatmaja Ayodhya Atavim Vidhi Gachatata Yathasukam. The same shloka can be understood in so many ways. Imagine this same shloka is explained in 18 different ways. This is not the one. Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi. The son Rama, who is the son of Dasharatha. Mam Vidhi Janakatmaja. Ayodhya Atavim Vidhi Gachatata Yathasukham. This is what Sumitra tells her son Saumitre Lakshmana. She says, Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi. Think of Rama as Dasharatha, as your king, to Lakshman. Mam Vidhi Janakatmaja. Think of me in Sita Janaka Atmaja. Ayodhya Atavim Vidhi, where you go, the forest. That, imagine that to be, understand that to be Ayodhya. Gachatata Yatha Sukham. Always be happy. You are taking the entire thing with you. You're going. Go with. Be happy and go. She is so great. She says, you should not have even come. Your order has already come. You should have already been in the forest. What are you doing here? Sumitra was a great woman. The same shloka can be understood in a slightly different way. Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi. Who is the embodiment of all 10 avatars? Dasharatham. He is Bhagavan Shri Ram. Rama is Bhagavan. Understand that Rama is not Dasharatha the king. Rama is Bhagavan Dasharatha. Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi. Mam Vidhi Janakatvaja. Ma is the name of Sri Lakshmi. Understand Sita to be Sri Lakshmi. Ayodhya Atavim Vidhi. Wherever Rama and Sita are, that is your Ayodhya Vaikuntham. Gachatata Yatha Sukham. Go to your Vaikuntham. If you can understand this simple shloka in two ways, imagine what is there in the Ramayana Bhushan, where there are 18 different ways of understanding the same Ramayana. This parampara came down all the way to Sri Govinda Raja Swamiji in Tirupati, in Tirumala. And then Venkata Bhagavan, Venkateshwara, he came in Sri Govinda Raj Swamiji's dream and said, Kali Yugam, people will not remember everything. You should write this down. So he wrote everything down in this Ramayana Bhushana, what we call the Vachan Bhushan Tika. So if you're studying Ramayana, if you are listening to Ramayana Katha, if they don't have the Tika of Ramayana Bhushana, then it's like you have an Archa Vigraha, but there is no paraphernalia, no flowers, no food, nothing. Just the Archa Vigraha without anything to cover it. So Vachana Bhushana is like that. In this Vachana Bhushana, the Tika of Gunavan is done. And here he says, Gunavan itself is a Swatantra Guna. It's an independent Guna by itself. It is not one of the 16 qualities mentioned previously. Gunyate avartate punah punah ashritaihi iti gunavan. Gunyate avartate punah punah ashritaihi iti gunavan. जो भगवान के आश्रय आश्रित शरणागत, सो दोज हुआ शरणागत, जो शरणागत भक्त हैं और जो गुण भगवान के गुण को स्मरण करते हैं, who contemplate upon this guna of Bhagavan again and again, पुनः पुनः, जिसका चिंतन करते हैं, they are contemplating on this guna of Bhagavan. This guna को गुणवान कहा गया है. इस गुण को, this guna is called गुणवान. So which guna is this? This guna is called Saushilyam. Gunavan here refers to Saushilyam, Sushilata. Sushil namak guna. Sushil becomes Saushilya. Vatsalta, Vatsalya. And Vatsalyata, it does not make sense. But here, Sushil, Saushilya. What does Saushilya mean here? Mahato Mandaisaha Nirandrena Sansleshaha Saushilyata. So imagine this. The worst of people, like us, not like us, like me, Deena, whose habits are the worst a person can have, who is the worst in every form. Even people like me, if we surrender onto the lotus-like feet of Bhagavan, he will forget all of this. He will see us anew and he will see us as a devotee, just like Gajendra, just like Dhruva, just like any other devotee, he will see us like that. That quality of Bhagavan is called Saushilya. Patita Pavana Sitaram. Raghupati Raghava Rajaram. Patita Pavana Sitaram. Sundara Vigraha Meghashyam. Ganga Tulasi Shalagram. That is Bhagavan. That quality of Saushilyam is referred to as Gunavan. Apparently, when Rama and Bharata, they used to play tug of war and all, they used to play in their childhood. There is not much vyakhyan of the childhood of Rama. So Acharyas have done commentary, they have imagined. Now because Acharyas are Satya Sankalpi, that means what they imagine must have been true. So apparently Rama, who can defeat Bhagavan Shri Ram? His name is Jaya. Vijayati. Iti Jaya. The Grantha is called Jaya. Ramayana, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam. The Purana's name is Jaya. It refers to Bhagavana directly. Looking at Bharata, seeing that Bharata and his compatriots around, they will feel bad if I win and he loses. He makes it look as if Bharata won. He's playing, he's winning the tug of war, but he'll still make it look as if Bharata won. That is the Saushilyata of Bhagavan. Even after killing Ravana, 1000 years of prayaschitta he had to do. He did because he was a devotee and a Brahman Putra. In स्वभाव में वो राक्षस थे, परंतु थे ब्राह्मण. And even then, the association of devotee is such that anybody associated with the devotee also Bhagavan protects. The worst of people. And the pramana is Ramayana itself. Rama never went to Sri Lanka until his devotee came and performed Sharanagati on his feet. The brother of Ravana, Vibhishana. Once Vibhishana came only and performed Sharanagati, he dissociated himself with Ravana. Ravana dissociated his association with a devotee, Bhaktajan, who was Vibhishan. After that dissociation only, Bhagavan Sri Ram went to Lanka. Even then, until he waited until Vibhishana only directed him as to how to defeat Ravana. Did Rama not know how to kill Ravana? Of course. But he fought for 27 days. Vichitra it is. And yet he is this thing. That is Saushilya. Being able to forgive the worst of people, whoever come to the lotus-like feet, he will take them into his arms. That is Saushilya. This is the guna that we are talking about from the beginning. Jnana Shakti Adi Kalyana Guna Vibhushita. Sakala Jagat Srishti Sthiti Samhara Karta Arto Jigyasu Rartharthi Jnani. Now what is this? When Srishti happens, there is Paravatara. I will not go deep into it. We have discussed this in depth previously. From Paravasudeva, Vyuha Vasudeva is also formed. We will not talk too much about Vyuha Vasudeva right now. That Paravatara who is there in Vaikuntham, the same Paravatara is referred to as Sriman Narayana here in the Leela Vibhuti. He is the same Para. Jnana Virya, Bala Teja, Aishwarya and Aishwarya and Shakti. These are the 6. Now he divides this into 3. Pradyumna, whose Pradyumna, he extends. Pradyumna, Bhagavan Pradyumna. Here we will still refer to him as Bhagavan only. Vyuha is Bhagavan only. Extends himself as Brahma. Brahma is not Pradyumna. Brahma comes from Pradyumna. And Srishti happens through Brahma. Aniruddha, Vishnu comes from Aniruddha. Here Vishnu refers to Indra. When we say the Trideva, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Vishnu is necessarily referring to Indra. And for Sthiti, because he is the king of Swargaloka. For Sthiti, Indra is from Aniruddha. Aniruddha extends himself as Indra. And Shankarshana, Mahesh. From Shankarshana, Mahesh extends. Mahesh is Shivaji. Brahma, Indra and Mahesh are not Bhagavan. Bhagavan, Shad Aishwarya se yukta. Bha, Ga, Va, A and Na. Each of them are referring to 2 of the Aishwaryas. The 2 Aishwaryas have already been split in Pradyumna, Aniruddha and Shankarshana. After that, you cannot refer to anybody under that as Bhagavan. Indra Deva, Shivaji, Brahma, Brahmadev. However, because of our adar सम्मान करते हैं, because of that, acharyas may sometimes refer to as Bhagavan Shiva or Bhagavan, like we refer to as Bhagavan, our acharyas as also Bhagavan Ramanujacharya, Bhagavan Valmiki, because of that association of their association with Bhagavan. But in essence, there is only that Paratattva, which is Narayana. That is what referring to Ishwara Tattva, you understand. Then we have Vibhava Avatara. Rama, Krishna, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. All of these avatars that have come, these are referred to as Vibhava Avatara. Acharyas say that all the 24 avatars, all the way till Kalki Avatara, we can refer to as Vibhava, including all the Avesh avatars also. But Avesh avatars are not complete avatars, that's the only thing. Right? Amsha and Avesh, right? Amsha yes. Avatara and Avesh avatara is a subtraction of avatars. So all of these are referred to Vibhava Avatar. Then you have Antaryami. विश्व में अणु होकर रहते हैं, उनको विष्णु कहा जाता है. That's what Vishnu means. Okay? That's why Bhagavana is actually Vishnu. When in the Vedam, Vishnornukam virjani pravocham jaha parthivani vimame rajagungsi. Vishnu referring to Bhagavan. Some places in the Vedam, Vishnu will refer to Indra. Narayana Brahmo Jayate, Narayana Rudro Jayate. Everything is from Narayana only. That Narayana referring to the Vishnu in some places. Vishnu is referred because of Antaryami. Now, why don't we say Jai Shri Vasudeva? Why do we say Jai Shriman Narayana? Vasudeva has only association with Nitya Atma in Vaikuntham and Shuddha Sattvam. Jai Shri Vishnu also we could say. But Vishnu only has association with Chitta as an Antaryami Swarupa. अणु होकर जो रहते हैं, परम अणु होकर जो अणु के भीतर रहते हैं, उनको विष्णु कहा गया. तो हिज एसोसिएशन इज ओनली विद द जीवात्मा. बट भगवान श्रीमन नारायण हैज एसोसिएशन विद बोथ चित्ता एंड अचित्ता इन द लीला विभूति. Because of his association with both Chitta and Achitta, we refer to him in our daily lives. Does that make sense? I don't know. This is very clear. From Vyuha Avatara, Mishra Sattva is formed. Right? So from Vyuha Avatara, the Mishra Sattva is there. See, now when we talk about Padmanabhans again, all of those understandings of Srishti, they complement each other. Okay?
Right.
And at some point, as we study many, because every Shastra has the Srishti. Okay? It talks about how Srishti happened. Ramayana will also talk about how Srishti happened. Mahabharata. Each of the Puranas will talk in its own way what Srishti is. Tadvishnoho paramam padagung sada pasyanti shurayah. This is the Veda Vakyam, no? Shukla Yajurveda. Tadvishnoho paramam padagung sada pasyanti surayo divi vachakshuratatam marihi om. That Vishnu paramam padam. Tadvishnoho Tadvishnoho paramam padagum sada pasyanti surayo divi vachakshuratatam. That Vishnu is referring to Bhagwan Sriman Narayana only. Then Archa Avatar. The same Bhagavan comes in our form. In Artha Panchaka, Archa Avatara has great description. And the importance of Archa Avatara is very well put out in Artha Panchaka. The same three tattvas are referred to in 25 form tattvas. Para, Vyuha, Vibhava, Antaryami, Archa, we talked about it. Like that, Ishwara tattva, Chitta, Achitta, Ishwara, and all of that. Upaya Swarupa and Virodhi Swarupa and all also so on. Each Shastra, as we have, I don't know if you have understood, Prapyasya Brahmano Rupam Praptuscha Pratyagatmanaha Praptipayam Phalam Prapti Tatha Prapti Virodhicha Vadanti Sakala Vedaha Setihasa Puranakaha Punuyasya Mahatmana Veda Vedanta Parakaha. Any Shastra is only talking about these 6 things. 5 things I think. Prapyasya जो प्राप्त योग्य है, प्राप्तुश्च जिसको प्राप्त किया जाता है, उससे फल क्या प्राप्त होता है, उस फल प्राप्ति के विरोधी क्या है, फल प्राप्ति विरोधी these things. This is basically Artha Panchaka, and when we start Artha Panchaka, we will start with this shloka only. Now there are some sampradaya who say that no, Shiva is the Param Tattva. But we are referring to Ishwara as Bhagavan Sriman Narayana here. And then I was speaking to somebody from the Gaudiya Sampradaya as well. And what she mentioned is that only Krishna is the Param Tattva. And the reference she gives is from Bhagavatam again. Ete chamshakalah pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indra Rivyakulam Lokam Mrudayanti Yuge Yuge. Ete chamshakalah. Until now, who we have referred to as all the avatars, no? 25 avatars that have come, 24. Ete chamshakalah pumsa. Ete is referring to this. Ete is something which is close. This and that. Ete chamshakala pumsaha. From the body of Bhagavana who have been born through him. These are these are not Bhagavanas. Who is the Bhagavana? Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So here, their translation here is Krishnastu. The tu is referring to only, is what they say. Only Krishna is the Bhagavan. Now that will be Shastra Viruddham. Correct? Because in the Vedam it's saying Narayana Brahmo Jayate, Narayana Rudro Jayate. If from Narayana only all the Srishti has been done, how can we only call Bhagavan Shri Krishna as the only Sampurna Purushottam? So the tu is a Nishchayatmaka Shabda. So to refer to Krishna as those who come with Krishna. So Krishna's tu refers to those who came like Krishna. और it is दूसरे अवतार को भी संकेत किया गया है यहाँ. So मत्स्य कूर्म वराह राम, रामो विग्रहवान धर्म. धर्म के ही विग्रह हैं राम. भगवान ही धर्म है. धर्म को उजागृत करने के लिए शास्त्र का परिचय हुआ. शास्त्र तो थे ही, शास्त्र वर ऑलवेज देयर. शासनात् शास्त्रम वर ऑलवेज देयर. और उसकी परिचय हेतु लिखित रूप में वेद व्यास जी ने, कृष्ण द्वैपायन व्यास जी ने, वॉट एवर ही नीडेड टू डू ही डिड. करेक्ट. सो therefore here the reference here to Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam is essentially referring to the lotus like feet of Bhagavan Sriman Narayana and all the Vibhava avatars and the Sampurna Mool avatars, and they are all Bhagavan. With that we understand as to who we are referring to as when we speak about Ishwara Tattva. The second line of the same shloka, Indra Adi Rivyakulam. So Indra Adi जो देवता हैं व्याकुल होते हैं from whatever reason, Rakshas, Asur इत्यादि से व्याकुल होते हैं. And Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. Therefore he comes again and again to protect these devotees. That's what the shloka is saying. Now if you go ahead, yes. So Ishwaro Akhila Heya Pratyanika Jnanandaika Swarupo Jnana Shakti Adi Kalyana Guna Vibhushitaha Sakala Jagat Srishti Sthiti Samhara Karta Arto Jigyasurtharthi Jnani. ज्ञान शक्ति से युक्त हम समझ गए. ज्ञान शक्ति वीर्य बला ऐश्वर्य तेज. कल्याण गुण से विभूषित हैं. गुण विभूषित का तात्पर्य, the other shlokas actually bring all of these things in greater depth. Today is just the bhumika, so we are just understanding from the top. What we are going to study in slightly greater depth. आर्तो जिज्ञासूर आर्थी ज्ञानी युक्त चतुर्विध पुरुष समाश्रयणीयो धर्मा समाश्रयणीयो. सो भगवान के शरण में आश्रय लेने वाले चार प्रकार के भक्त होते हैं. शरणागति, चार प्रकार के भक्तों शरणागति के योग्य होते हैं. और कोई भी योग्य है शरणागति के, ये चार के ही अंदर आता है. सो दीज फोर, आई एम सॉरी आई कीप स्पीकिंग हिंदी, जस्ट दैट I don't know why. So, Arto, जैसे in Nepali is Ataliera. So, in panic. So, one form of Sharanagati happens upon whose lotus-like feet. One form of Sharanagati happens when you are in panic, like Gajendra, like Draupadi. आपत्ति स्थिति में जो शरणागत होते हैं आर्तो कहा जाता है. आपत्ति स्थिति में शरणागत सिर्फ एक बार होता है. यू कैन ओनली परफॉर्म शरणागति वंस. आर्तो जिज्ञासु जैसे उद्धववादी, who want to understand, and for the sake of understanding Bhagavan Sriman Narayana, you surrender onto him and say you only find. We'll go in greater depth in all four of these. Artharthi, Om Jaya Jagadish Hare Swami Jaya Jagadish Hare, भक्त जनों के संकट क्षण में दूर करे। जय जगदीश हरे। जो ध्यावे फल पावे, दुख बिन से मन का। सुख संपत्ति घर आवे, कष्ट मिटे तन का। जय जगदीश हरे। दीन बंधु दुख हरता, तुम रक्षक मेरे। श्रद्धा भक्ति बढ़ाओ, शरण पढ़ाते रे। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। सो शरणागत अर्थ हेतु भी शरणागत की जाती है। अर्थार्थी एंड इन दी एंड ज्ञानी, जो ज्ञान प्राप्त करते हैं, ज्ञान से उनको ज्ञात होता है कि शरणागति ही परम मार्ग है। भगवान के दर्शन हेतु शरणागति ही उत्तम मार्ग है। एंड दैट इज द पाथवे। ज्ञान इज द पाथवे। एंड दीज आर द 4 काइंड ऑफ पीपल हु परफॉर्म शरणागति। अर्थो जिज्ञासु, अर्थार्थी, ज्ञानी, युक्त, चतुर्विधि, विध पुरुष समाश्रयणीय। सम आश्रयणीय, जो आश्रय में आते हैं, ये 4 प्रकार के ही अतिरिक्त होते हैं। ओके, अंडर एनी वन ऑफ दीज 4। धर्मार्थ काम मोक्षाख्या चतुर्विध फल प्रदो। धर्म 4 पुरुषार्थ है ना। अभी अर्थ पंचक में 5 पुरुषार्थ होते हैं। इन अर्थ पंचक यू हैव 5 पुरुषार्थ। धर्म, अर्थ, काम, moksha is called atma anubhava and bhagavad anubhava. So they split the moksha into 2 parts. So here we have moksha only we are talking about. And dharma, artha, kama और मोक्ष का फल तो कोई देना होगा ना। आप कोई कार्य करते हैं, उसका फल कौन देते हैं? भगवान ही देते हैं। So जो ये पुरुषार्थ के फल देते हैं, वो ही है ईश्वरा। ईश्वरो, वी आर रेफरिंग टू दैट। फलप्रदो विलक्षण विग्रह युक्तो लक्ष्मी भूमि नीला नायकः। विलक्षण विग्रह, विचित्र शरीर वाले हैं। इट्स अ डिवाइन फॉर्म। इफ ही इज विलक्षण विग्रह, इज ही निराकार? You know, you have this whole concept of Nirankari and all. Nowadays,
right.
My Acharya says these are all dhurta. Dhurta means they are अशास्त्रनीय वस्तु। शास्त्र में कोई प्रमाण ही नहीं है इसका। अद्वैत सिद्धांत भी इनको निराकार नहीं बोलते, निर्गुण सगुण के आधार पर किया जाता, निराकार नहीं कहते वो। और अद्वैत के आचार्य जब भागवत पाठ करते हैं, तब नारायण को ही परम सत्य तत्व कहते हैं, शिव नहीं कहते। शंकराचार्य जी ने पहले ही कहा है, शंकराचार्य जी had said earlier previously, because we are Shaivya, we'll refer, even though Narayan is the Param Tattva, we'll refer to Shiva as Narayana. However, while doing Bhagavata, we will always refer to Narayana or Krishna only as Param Tattva. We will not refer to Shiva. What it says. Can you want something that has no guna? जो गुण से ही रहित है, उसकी अपेक्षा कोई कर ही नहीं सकता। You cannot want something which isn't. It does not exist. Because to exist require a form and shape, or an entity of performing existence. All those which don't have the direct form and shape have been split into Ishwara, not into Achitta, into Chitta. So the remaining is Achitta, we have already mentioned. So they must have a form. So भगवान निरंकार नहीं है, भगवान आकार से युक्त हैं। उनका एक आकार ऐसा हो सकता है कि हम वो पहचान ना सके। We may not be able to recognize or understand it. But he is not formless. Why would you want to understand something which has no understanding? You cannot understand something which does not. Any understanding has a rudimentary base on that which is understood. Therefore you want to understand it. निरंकार है, उसका जो आकार ही नहीं है, अंक नहीं है, उसको समझ कैसे सकते हैं? Where there is no substance, what is there to gain from it? ज्ञान किसका होगा? जो चीज है ही नहीं उसका ज्ञान कैसे होता है? वो तो ज्ञान का अभाव हुआ ना. The lack of knowledge would be that. So जो ज्ञान से के अभाव में है वो तो ज्ञान है ही नहीं, तो उसकी अपेक्षा करना ही व्यर्थ है, अर्थ से विलक्षण है ना. सो भगवान निरंकार नहीं है, विचित्र शरीर से बने हुए हैं, विलक्षण विग्रह युक्तो लक्ष्मी भूनीला नायका. लक्ष्मी भूदेवी और नीला देवी के नायक हैं भगवान. is the Nayaka of the three consorts, Shri, Bhu and Neela. We are referring to this Bhagavana in Ishwara Tattwa. Akhila Heya Pratyanika. Explanation of this is like, he is like the light where it shine in darkness. When there is light shown in a point of darkness, do you have to remove the darkness once the light is shown? It goes away the moment there is light. Bhagavana is that light. And that entity we will understand through Ishwara Prakaranam as we move ahead with these sessions.
I think I know the answer, but I'm still going to go on because we can't question other people's journeys, or we cannot question their understanding or whatnot. And this is how do we help others understand Bhagavan, right? It's not that they don't know, it's not that they're refuting it, right? And they're all in the sessions that we are in, so I'm hoping they're listening. So, but still, if they are like 10 steps behind, how do we help them with the fact that, hey, keep up with this? You know?
You don't, at least to me, you don't, because they have to play out their part. They have to run, right? They have to run the course, right?
They have to run the course, but the thing is, like we are saying, right? When we do Bhagavatam, when we listen, it has to happen. Why is it that at some points it's not happening? That bhakti hasn't taken over, right? So I don't know what acharyas would have for that, because I'm sure they see a lot more than what we experience. But the reason I'm asking is, it's not like you said in the beginning when you were explaining. We said like every time I sit, every time I talk, every time I ask, I have started doing it with that consciousness that, Lord, you are making me say these things. And I shouldn't take it to heart. It's been said, it's been done, I shouldn't dwell on it because I did it with your permission. Sometimes it still lingers, right? Because
Absolutely.
Oh, why did I have to explain it that way? Or why did I have to get angry or upset over that particular topic? So I'm like, why would I explain what Bhagavan is and defend him to someone who is through the journey with us but doesn't seem to understand that aspect of it?
Right. I find because I get students from all backgrounds, and so some people, so you have to understand each person which place they are in general. So somebody thinks there is something but does not know what it is. Somebody does not know only if there is anything but hopes there is. And somebody does not accept only that there is anything. So each of these people are tackled in different ways. Coming to bhakti is a far on the other side of the spectrum altogether. Bhakti is a very difficult concept to grasp if you don't have the samskara for it. It's the samskara that makes it easy for people to have bhakti and to not have, right? That jnana has to come, the knowledge that these satras that we do, the yajnas, Bhagavatam, and vairagya, the detachment from this world also. Without that,
that is the key. That is the key.
Now, two things are there. Even in one of the lectures I gave the students, if you go back and look at that lecture, yes, I explain just simply the concept of the existence of this entity called Bhagavan. How do we logically come to a construct that there is an entity which exists? It is not a kapol kalpana, as they say in Hindi. It is not some fantasy. Unfortunate as it may be, we were taught that these are mythologies, Indian mythology, Ramayana, Mahabharata.
It's a reality.
It is a reality.
It is a history.
It is history, right? Itihasa.
It is itihasa. It's not mythology. When people talk about it as mythology, it is not.
It's not, right? Now, we have to... So, how do we establish the concept of Bhagavana first? Some people require logic. Okay? And we must give that logic first. Some people don't want to understand. They just question for the sake of it. Then you should just never explain. Sanatana Dharma is we are in such a place, we don't bring people and convert, or we don't bring people and force them into anything. They come of their own accord, learn of their own accord. My Acharya says, you should come, you should stay here and learn. That's it, he says. That is what you should do. And therefore I went. Some 99% of the population didn't go. 2 or 3 of us, some people. Just like that. Those who are utsuk, जो जिज्ञासु है ना, जो जिसमें जिज्ञासा है, they will themselves go and learn. So some people who are behind, they may not understand the concept of Bhagavan. The moment I hear Bhagavan, and I say it is the Sankalpa of Bhagavan, the entire Chit Achit Ishwara Prakaranam goes in my head. The concept of this Chitta, how this development has happened. There cannot be a Karta without a Karana. The Param Karana must be that entity. That Param Karana must be him. We are referring to him as him, but we may not understand the nature of this existence. We may not understand the nature of who he actually is, but from our perspective it is this. And every day we try and add to this perspective of this understanding of Bhagavan Sriman Narayana. And every day we try and evolve with that. And we try and, with new understandings, new constructs come into our mind, and then we add on to it, and we have more to say about the same entity, right? And then at some point you'll be like, I don't care. I just want to be curled up in the crevice of the paduka of the Bhagavan. The wooden paduka have those crevices. I just want to be crept up in that and just lie.
I'm happy.
I'm so content with that. I don't want anything else. To be completely honest with you. Sometimes when I don't feel sleepy, I'll just think, I'm just sleeping, the kind of fall asleep in no time. That paduka, that's all I want. I want to be in that crevice, the dirt and the nail. Bhagavan will not have dirt. Instead of the dirt, he'll have me. But whatever he does, I'll be protected there. I'm safe. I don't need to think about anything or anybody. That kind of bhakti comes with time. Sometimes it will come in a moment. Somebody gives upadesha. Sometimes an acharya's association. So if that association is not coming, the longer you have association with devotees, the prabhava of Kali is that much less. Okay. So Nama Sankirtana will essentially increase this bhakti. Now finally, those people who attend these sessions, they should also, I don't know how their food habits are. One of the very important things is the food. You have these sessions of Bhagavata in 7 days, I haven't eaten anything. You go out and eat all mamsahar you do, all tamasic padartha you consume, onion, garlic and all these things you eat, and the mind is not say, you have, the Vairagya comes when the mind is still. The manas is still. There is unnecessary thoughts don't arise. What do you call it? The Ashtanga Yoga. Bhakti requires Ashtanga Yoga. That's why women don't perform it. Because you can't perform Ashtanga Yoga without certain attributes. So performing Ashtanga Yoga will allow that bhakti to come. What is the use of Ashtanga Yoga? In the end, what do you want? In the end, it is Bhagavad Pada only. You are reaching that Bhagavad Pada only. You are not reaching anywhere else. You are not reaching Kundalini and Yogi. You are reaching that Bhagavad Pada. This is just a medium. So understanding that concept of Bhagavad Prapti, that comes with time. It's my observation, that's all. I have people, I told you the other day that people ask me about Tilakam. And they are very notion. They just want to ask. They don't want the answer. If they want the answer, they will catch me after the session. They will ask me, how do I find out? What do I do? What is this? They don't have that because the grace of Bhagavan Sriman Narayana, their only karma was to see the tilak.
Mm-hmm.
If there is kripa of Bhagavana, this must be their nirhetu kripa. In some life further down, they will have utsukta that, I have in my previous life somewhere, he may not remember it. My previous life somewhere, I saw the tilakam. What is tilakam? It is the Bhagavana himself on the forehead of, because you establish Bhagavana, you put the asana, and then you put Bhagavana, and then you put Shri there. I saw Bhagavana in the form of tilakam. That's what I want to go towards. So because of their own karma, people are in their own journey. We can aid that journey by providing platforms. We cannot force them into bhakti. It cannot be forced. It is not possible. But association is possible. Bringing them closer to you more often. Just bring them closer. Invite them for food. I'm just giving an example. You don't have to. I'm just giving an example. Invite them for food because your food in your house is prasadam. Divya prasadam. Bhagavana is there. That food is divya prasadam. Anybody who eats it, there is only goodness that is going to go. There is nothing bad that is going to happen to that gentleman, gentlewoman. Even the animals who eat it, they are also kalyana guna. Even in the Bhagavata's house, if an ant also consumes a morsel of prasadam, he will attain moksha. That's the strength of Bhagavatas. That's why satsangatve nisangatvam. With Vairagya will be born only after satsangam. Satsangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam. अभी हम मोह माया से घेरे हुए हैं. Mero, if you look at Bhagavad Katha, no? The Dhundukari, the story of the Dhundukari, yes? The Dhundukari's father, Atmadev Brahman. First he was upset because he didn't have a child. Then he became upset because of his child.
Right.
Why was he actually upset?
He didn't have a child that he liked. He didn't have the wish fulfilled. That's all you can say.
But why was he upset?
Dhundukari is the first story that comes in Bhagavad Gita.
It's actually it's from the Padma Puran. It is introducing Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
So not everybody will say it. It will tell you the importance of Bhagavatam.
It is the intro to Bhagavatam. No. It's Dhundukari is basically it's the Gokarna story, right?
That's
basically.
right. So I'll just give you a brief of Dhundukari story. So you have this Atmadev Brahman, and he's going to end his life because he does not have a child, and he meets one great Muni on the way, and the Muni says, "What are you doing?" And then the Atmaram says that I'm going to end my life. I don't have a child. On top of that, the Muni says, there is no child in your prarabdha karma. You're not going to have a child for the next 7 lives. So that he becomes even more upset. And he's like, now I'm definitely going to kill myself right here. And then now there's a sankat because now the Muni is meditating. How can a person kill himself right in front? So he gives one prasadam, he gives some fruit, he'll give, and he says, you ask your wife to eat this, and once your wife eats it, she'll have a baby in the garbham, and then you will have a child. When he gives it to the wife, Dhunduli, she is a very cunning woman. So what she does is, there's an entire many shlokas. She just, this is called kutarkam. Even the Nastik have great Tarka Shastra, they're Jnani people. So this is Kutarkam. She says, if I eat this, I'll become Garbhavati. If I become Garbhavati, I have to eat a lot. If I eat a lot, I'll become fat. And if I'm fat, I won't be able to run. If there is a fire in the village and everybody is running, I will not be able to run. I will die in the fire which may come in the village. Therefore, I should not eat this fruit. She talks with this conversation happens with her sister. So what she says is, I will not consume this fruit, but I will not tell Atmadev. What I will do is, I'll pretend to be pregnant for 9 months. Then the sister asks them, how will you, after 9 months you need a child. So what will you do? To which she says, what you do is, I'll send my husband away at that time. You give me your child after 9 months and I will raise him as his own. And gives this fruit to the cow. 9 months later, she gets the child, and Atmadev Brahman wants to get the child, become very happy, and wants to name the child Brahmadev. I am Atmadev, I'll name my child Brahmadev. But Dhunduli as she is, she's like, I have carried this child for 9 months and you get to name him. I want to name. And then Atmadev says, okay, if you want to name, you name. So she names the child Dhundukari. Okay. And the cow also has a child like a human being, but the ears like a cow, and therefore his name was given the name Gokarna. He's a Divya. Now this Dhundukari becomes a horrible, heinous human being. Invites children of the village to the well to sit down and pushes them inside, kills them. All kinds of things. Vaishya Grahanam, all these things he does. Okay, drinking, Dhumrapan. Nowadays, whatever you do, all kinds of things. No Brahmanatva is not left within Dhundukari. Then the Atmadev Brahmana, he leaves. Okay, and then he leaves because he leaves to die again. And then I'll tell you about that in a moment. Once Atmadev leaves, Dhundukari has even more freedom, and then he starts bringing Vaishyas into the house and so on. And then one day the mother shouts at him, and then this Dhundukari hits her. All night he hits her, and then she feels so bad that the mother also goes and jumps into the well. Now Dhundukari has got even more freedom. Now then he brings both two Vaishyas into the house and lives with those ladies. And then one day he steals a huge loot he's gotten, to which the Vaishyas say, how did you get so much? The king will find you, because you've gotten so much wealth. The people will certainly search for you. Now these people are very scared of him, because if they tell him this, then they will kill her. He will kill them. So what they devise a plan. So in the night they tie his legs, they tie his hands, and then they stuff cloth in his hand, and they beat the human out of him, but he doesn't die. Dhundukari doesn't die. In the end, they stuff cloth in his mouth and then they light it, and he suffocates to death. Because of this untimely death and the gruesome way that he was killed, he becomes a Pretatma. On the other hand, Gokarna has gone for Tirtha Yatra. When he comes back for somewhere in Haridwar, he's gone to do. But then he comes back, and then when he's doing in the night after eating, when he's doing some Sandhya Vandana in the evening, he sees that there is some Jivatma that is trying to talk. Because great Atmas, they have this potential. Preta. Nowadays, they say, why don't Preta come to us? We can't see Preta, so it doesn't exist. A great Acharya said, Pretas generally come to human beings because they understand that human beings have the potential of uddar karne ke hetu मनुष्य के पास जाते हैं प्रेत. पर अब मनुष्य ही प्रेत बन गए तो प्रेत कहाँ जाएंगे? So because Gokarna was a great Acharya, great saint, a great Muni, He goes to him, and Gokarna gives allows Dhundukari to speak. He's like, "Who are you?" And then Dhundukari says, "I am your brother." And then they have this conversation. Like, okay, fine, I'll go and do Uddar for you again. To which, even if you do it 1,000 times, I will not be this thing. My papam will not be washed away. So what should I do? The next morning, what happens is he's doing Sandhya Vidhi. And then when he's jal to the Surya Bhagwan, he asks Surya, what should I do? To which Surya Bhagwan says, Shravana Satra, you have to Srimad Bhagavatam, 7 days Satra you should do, he says. To which Srimad Bhagavatam he recites for 7 days. Dhundukari sits on a bamboo with 7 eyes, and on the 7th day he pierces through all 7, and then he attains moksha. A papi like Dhundukari also attains moksha by listening to Srimad Bhagavatam intently. If you have the intention to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam, that entity will attain moksha. Now, Atmadev Brahman, what happens to him? He's going to end his life because of Gokarna. Much before, now you rewind. Now, he meets Gokarna. Now, Gokarna gives him Upadesha. Now I ask you the question. Why is Atmadev angry? Is Atmadev sad?
Atmadev went to Gokarna.
No, Atmadev doesn't realize that Gokarna is his son. Right?
Gokarna is his... Oh yeah, that is true. But he is his son, right? Because he brought him as his son.
Right? So why is he sad? Because he missed the opportunity?
He is sad because he associates Gokarna as his. There are thieves, looters, there are Vaishyas, there are adharmis all across the world. He was not sad about that. The moment that associated with him, my son, that was the cause of his sorrow.
Dhundukari.
No,
Yeah. Right.
Atmadev, Dhundukari. Because he associated Dhundukari as his son, there was pain. The moment you disassociate, the cause of the pain is not because he didn't have a son or he has a son now who is a devil. It is because it is his that is the problem. So this Upadesha, the moment this Upadesha was given, Atmadev dissociated his association with Dhundukari, and then there was Vairagya. Then that because of that Upadesha, he started chanting the Bhagavan Sriman Narayan, and then later on attained moksha, Paramdham. So that Vairagya, Satsangatve Nissangatvam, Nissangatve Nirmohatvam, वो मोह से वंचित हो गए. वो मोह माया is the cause of the misery. Nirmohatve Nischalatatvam, Nischalatatve Jivana Muktihi. Now our understanding of Jivan Mukti is not the same. However, what is it? The concept is this. With Satsangam, that Vairagya will increase. The Nirmohatvam will increase. We should be Nirmohi. No attachment, that detachment will increase. That's what Shankaracharya Bhagavan says. He says, Bhagavad Pada is saying exactly that. Satsangatve Nissangatvam, Nissangatve Nirmohatvam. So start with Satsangam. So we can't explain anybody intellectually unless they want to know. You cannot wake a person who is pretending to sleep. It is not possible. He will continue pretending until you tickle him or hit the...
But that's the key. The pretending too is the key.
Correct.
Right? There are people who argue for the sake of argument's sake. You can't change that. You just let it go.
You don't argue with such people. It's a waste of time, right? Because if the argument does not lead to a conclusive solution, then argument is a waste of time. That's what Chanakya says. Yeah. And therefore, if to help any of these people, you should increase their satsangam. That's why ISKCON has had a great impact on people of satsangam. You invite them for food. Essentially, people will come for food. I go for food. I'm very clear about that. Prasadam is there. I'll go for prasadam. Why not? Yeah. Satsangam is there. There is bhajan kirtan. I go for bhajan kirtan also. That is my personal thing. But in the beginning, pardon me?
When we were students, he was a student. Every weekend was ISKCON.
Exactly. Because of that.
Because you get a meal.
You get a meal. Yes, absolutely. And then it is divine meal. The Bhavya, Divya. Na, ye to. And therefore, that satsangam you start with. With association only things will change. I guarantee it. Good association. Okay. Some people don't like good association. So they will not come near.
They fear that because then they know that it will change their culture, their habits.
Like
Right?
I have friends who are very good, who are very close. But then after school, they entered this, cannabis sativa. Cannabis weed. And then dhumrapan, madhirapan, mamsahari ityadi. I don't do. And if they associate with me, I will tell them not to do. But they associate with people who will not tell them not to do, who will tell them to do more and do it with them. So those people who I will also complain to their parents. I am a very cheeky fellow. I will tell the parents, your children are doing all kinds of things, wasting a lot of time. What are you doing? Where are you? But only if they are associating with me. If they are associating with me, then I will tell their parents. If they don't associate with me, then there is no association. I have no need to tell their parents. People will face their prarabdham only. So some people will associate in some form or another, somewhere or call. And there will be some goodness because, not with me, when they go to the temple, I'm saying. So they'll come to the temple. Coming to the temple is enough, no? You have good people around you to bhajan kirtan. And for that week or two, you have some good vibration with you. And when they go to temple, Bhagavana is there. So at least you are in that vicinity. Right? So in essence, that is the idea. So my suggestion has always been, start with satsangam only. Invite for food, sometimes to temple, sometimes out somewhere. If at all one is concerned that somebody is, going out of the way and somebody wants to do something nice, the satsangam will only come. And even if it doesn't come then it's just not in their prarabdha. Correct. Or Bhagavana doesn't control us unless you perform sharanagati and then you attribute your actions to him. But until then you are a swatantra vastu. That's why you have karma. If you didn't have that free will, then what's the point of karma? Then you will have nairghrini aparad, no? Vaishamya nairghriniena sapekshatvat. There is a sutra, I think I mentioned this, we'll go in greater depth at some point. Nairghrini aparad Bhagavana ko lagta hai ki you control us also, cause us to do papam and punyam, and then we have to face the brunt of that. How can that happen? This is sadistic. So he does not control us. He causes action. He is the kartum akartum anyatha kartum sarva samartha Ishwara. Right? Everything Bhagavan only. He can do. He can do what can be done, what cannot be done, and the remaining. Everything can be done by him. Sarva samartha. Right? He does everything, but sankalpam is taken by the individual Atma.
That is the key, right? You have to take the first baby step.
Yes. Sankalpam is taken. But Sharanagati will be different. The Sampurna Sharanagati is the Sankalpam is also taken by Bhagavana only. And you can attribute it as that. Why? Because you have surrendered that free will. That is what you are actually surrendering, to be honest. Yeah. Until you surrender free will, Tat Kratu Nyaya will happen. Tat Kratu Nyaya, whatever you want, you will fulfill. Okay? Atnoti iti Atma, no? Atma, whatever it wants, will complete. Tat Kratu Nyaya means at the point of death also, if you don't want to go to Bhagavad Dham, why will you go to Bhagavad Dham? Whatever you're thinking, you will get. That's why Bhakti Yoga is so important, that you're constantly contemplating. So at the point of death also, only Bhagavan you're thinking, so Vishnu Dut will come and take. Sharanagati, you have surrendered your free will to think, to contemplate. So now, essentially, Bhagavan will only have to come because he doesn't have his free will. He can't. Whether he thinks or not, it's all in him, in his hand. And therefore, that is the idea. So, Bhagavana does not control. Swatantrata is given to the Jivatma. Okay? But whatever Jivatma wants, he will do it. So, who is doing it? Bhagavana. I did something wrong. Who, because of whom? Who did it? Bhagavana did it. Yes, that's correct. But because of whom?
Who took the sankalpam?
My sankalpam. Like that. Okay. So that's the idea. And then Nama Sankirtana also. So if they can't say anything, if they don't know anything else, all you say is when you meet Shriman Narayana, Ram Ram, Sitaram, Ram. See, don't say any other name. Don't say Narayana also. Narayana is too long. Ram. That's all. Ram is so easy also to say. Ram is Divya, I told you. The name is only so madhur.
Yeah.
So Ram is like that. So say Ram. Essentially what will happen is with that name Rama only, that Atma Parivartan will happen. And if somebody requires intellectual drilling, then you find somebody who can intellectually drill. No problem. You can. Intellectual is a very important part. Some people don't understand it through bhava. So they require the chitta higher.
Yeah.
So intellectually also we can drill. Okay. For that we only must understand a little bit of the intellectual and be able to question, counter question. And you need pramana also. So if you are debating with somebody, some pramana you will say, right? Like so many pramanas are there for so many things, and using those pramanas we'll try and establish our authority over somebody else's. Not our per se, but our authority over what we are saying over their argument, right? Their paksha, uttar paksha, purva paksha, no? So, does Bhagavana exist? Yes. That's it. There is no agree to disagree. You think it's not? No. How do we know what we should do, what we should not do? Who tells us about karma? Who told us about karma? Where do we understand the concept of karma? Shastra. Shastra Vakya only. No? In Bhagavad Gita is Shastra Vakya only. Is referring to Vedam only. Karmanyavadhikaraste ma phalesu kadachana ma karma phala heturvar mate sangostva karmani. Karma talking about in Shastra. What karma? Vedic karma only is talking about. So Vedas basically tell us what to do, what not to do. How to understand, how not to understand the Vedam is there in the what to understand is there in the Upanishad. This is the Vedanta Sutra. And to understand Upanishad, Brahma Sutra is there, very clearly given by Ved Vyasa. To understand Brahma Sutra Bhasyam has been done by both Shankaracharya and Ramanacharya Bhasyakaras, both of them, great, Akhanda, Prachanda Bhasyakaras. There is nobody greater than them. Itham idam siddhantam, they have established siddhantam based on these Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutram and the Upanishad. That is called Siddhanta, right? Itham idam siddhantam, this is it. There is nothing more to it. Right? They have established Siddhanta. So just follow what they have said. That is called Shastram. Shashanat. This controls you. You will allow that control. Because you are talking about karma, you are agreeing to karma, but then you are not agreeing to where the karma came from. It's coming from the Shastram. So you accept what the Shastram is saying. And Pramana is also the Shastram only. Now, how do you say that the same meaning is different in different? Whatever Sampradaya you are adhering to, follow that. That's all we can do, can we? We can't do anything else. And because you are from Sri Sampradaya, you will always argue on behalf of Sri Sampradaya. Like if Gaudiya Sampradaya says that only Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, we will say yes, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. It cannot be only Krishna because it's Shastra Virodha, and we will accept that Krishna along with everything is all the other avatara Bhagavan. Right? And they reject Karma Kanda. We don't reject Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda is essential. You cannot write on paper without pen and paper. You require both the thing to be written and what to write on. If you don't know what to write, the paper will remain blank. Yeah. If you know what to write but there is no paper, it's blank anyway. So you require both the paper, what to write and where to write. Both things are very important. So Vidya, Vidyamcha and Vedam, these are both important. So that is our paksha, right? Now there is no argument between two pakshas because the sampradaya is different. You can have Uttar Paksha, Purva Paksha, and based on that we can agree to disagree. But because they have already established Siddhanta, there is not much point debating over that. Within our sampradaya, we can debate over what we understand, what we don't understand.
Understand, right?
Definitely, between sampradayas also we can, and you have Vaishnavas and Shaivas debate in various ways.
Arguing it out,
yes,
debating it
definitely,
out. Right?
Yes. Okay, but Shastram. So as long as they are adhering to Shastram, then that is clear, that is acceptable. If they are not adhering to Shastram, then there is no point of this conversation because an outcome of this Shastram is what we are talking in the first place. If you are saying I am not going to accept Jati Pratha, Jati is what? Similarity in conformity is called Jati, that's all. Jati Pratha I won't accept, but I will accept Hindus. How can you? It is Varanashrama Dharma. Sanatana Dharma's 4 pillars are the 4 ashramas and 4 Varanas, 8 pillars. How can I not accept the Varanashrama but I'll accept Sanatana? How can it be? The Sanatana is held together by the 4 ashramas and 4 varnas. That's what the Vedam says. Right? So, if you try and reject something and take the other, so these are, in my opinion, are unacceptable attributes of our dharma. Anything can be done. कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते. वैसे होता ही नहीं है. You can debate it out. I can debate it with you. That you cannot just do anything. कुछ भी हो सकता है. किसी को भी भगवान मान लो. मूर्ति बोलते हैं. मूर्ति तो होता ही नहीं है. मूर्छति मूर्ति, जो मूर्छा गए हैं उसको मूर्ति. देयर इज नो चेतन. अचेतन वस्तु को मूर्ति कहा जाता है. हमारे मूर्ति थोड़ी है. दे आर अर्च विग्रह. भगवान इज देयर इन दैट, राइट? दे विग्रहस. सो that is what I may call avidya.
They don't, yeah, I understand where you're going.
So if somebody is not accepting what the Shastra is saying, then there is not much argument there unless you are wanting to understand and not able to accept. There is a difference.
Right.
I'm not able to internalize this because of this. I want to understand it in a way I can internalize. That is somebody उत्सुक होता है ना. जैसे I'm very much like that. I'm very honest. If I'm not able to internalize, I just hold it. I don't reject. How am I to reject? I just hold it there until one day I'll internalize. But if you are in a position where you say, I want to internalize, I don't want to internalize, I don't accept only. मनुस्मृति में ये कहा गया है, मनुस्मृति तो ऐसे, मनु ऐसे हैं. राम भगवान ने ऐसे कि राम तो भगवान नहीं, ये है वो है. तो समस्त विचारधारा के व्यक्ति होते हैं ना, अज्ञानी कहते हैं उनको. और अज्ञानी के संग संपर्क मूढ़ कहते हैं. चाणक्य से डोंट डिबेट विद मूढ़ because it's a waste of time, because Muda will never accept what you say and he will never understand what you say. So what is the point of the debate in the first place? That is the understanding. But I'm sure Mudas are not there in your sessions. I'm sure there are. If they're coming to the session, they must have something to gain from it. And some people, some people say, Bhagavad Gita is a living manual. Anybody, it's not a dharmic test. Of course it is. It is a dharma grantha. It is Sanatana Dharma Grantha explaining the Varnashrama Dharma in Sankshepa, in brief. It is not some user manual text. No, you cannot understand it in any way you want. No, you can't. You understand Ramayana Mahabharata first, the other Shastras first, only then you can understand Bhagavad Gita. So all these people, सब भगवान ही है. No, सब भगवान नहीं है. किसी को भी हम भगवान बोल सकते हैं. नहीं कह सकते. दैट इज, यू कैन नॉट से. द सिद्धांत के विरुद्ध होता है. सो अस एज सनातन धर्मी, सनातनी, वैष्णव, वी शुड नॉट एक्सेप्ट दीज थिंग्स. वी शुड रिजेक्ट देम डायरेक्टली. सब भगवान नहीं है. किसी को भी आप भगवान मानो, वो उचित नहीं है. Whatever you imagine and think of it as God does not make him Bhagavan. If you imagine a cow and think the cow is Param Tattvam, now that may be because Bhudevi, but if you imagine some entity to be Bhagavan and meditate upon that, you are not going to attain Bhagavana. You are going to attain whatever you are meditating upon. Yeah. Right? You can't meditate upon something as an embodiment of something else just like that. There are some vidhan is there. There is a prakriya, no? Doctor, when he goes for surgery, he has to wash, bathe, dry, wash his hands, then keep it in a certain way. Then he can only enter in a certain way. Somebody else will have to put the sterile gloves, and only then he can operate. Can he just say, "Nahi, hum kuch bhi kar sakte hain, I'll go," and without, he can't start cutting? No, he can't do that. Pratha, and anybody can enter the OT. You can't. Operating theatre, only some people can enter. Correct? Some people can drive. How is it that what is the discrimination? The discrimination is that people who are over 18 can drive. People who are under 18 cannot drive. Discrimination ho gaya na? Nobody talks about this discrimination. Then, people who don't have intellectual capacity enough to pass that theory test can't. One student of mine, his wife tried 8 times. She couldn't pass the theory. In the UK, she doesn't have a driving license. She's 60 years old now. 8 times she tried. She's not able to get it. And it costs a lot of money. What is the discrimination? Why shouldn't she be allowed to drive just because she's not able to perform in that test? So there is discrimination everywhere. The only place where there is no discrimination is when you understand the self as Atman, and you understand that Atman as of Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. I am of that Akhanda Brahma, who is Bhagavan Sriman Narayana. There is no discrimination there. That is Saushilyam. And I hope that answers your question a little bit.
It does. It does. It's like you said, we need to be able to, and then is the person receiving it ready to see it?
Yeah, it's to a certain extent a two-way street, right? If they're arguing for the sake of argument, then you walk away and say, yeah, it's not going to be, it's a waste of my time, right?
You know about the story of Vivekananda, no? I think I'll say this and then I'll leave. So Vivekananda.
Yeah.
Vivekananda was in the ship going to America, and it's written in his book. It's a very documented thing. He himself wrote it, so he knows. And then he met there was a Christian missionary there. And the Christian missionary constantly came to him, and he's like, you are heathen of Satan religion, you are doomed to burn in hell for all eternity. But then once you do it, but then if he constantly coming and pressuring him and insulting constantly, then he insulted India also, Bharatvarsh. Then finally that Sahinshilata, the Sahinshilata is the cause of the misery of the Hindu. Must remember this.
Yes.
This tolerance, this nonsense called tolerance, Sahinshilata is cause of our misery. Okay, we should not be Sahinshil. Okay? 1 or 2 times. Okay, if you do it every time, you are a weak person. Okay, ahimsa paramo dharma, dharma himsa tathaivacha. For the protection of dharma, you must perform himsa sometime, and that's what Vivekananda did. In the end, nothing worked. So Vivekananda, big person, he's not a small man, he's a very big person. He was very big, hatta katta. He took the man by his collar and said, if you come to me, I will throw you off board from the ship. I will throw you right now if you speak again. I will not have this. So if you say anything against what I'm saying right now, if you want to debate, we can debate it here and now. But if you are only insulting, I will throw you off board right now. And then that man never came after that. He never came near him. That is required sometimes. At the right time, at the right place, that himsa is also necessary. Not out of dvesha or ghrina, but only for the protection of dharma. Dharma eva hato hanti dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. What is this dharma? Vedic Sanatana dharma. But what is Vedic Sanatana dharma? Krishnam dharmam sanatanam. So to protection of our Bhagavan, do we need to protect him? No. But he is Archa Vigraha. Do we need to protect him? No. That dharma is he protecting us. So for our protection, himsa is necessary. Because through him he protects us. He is the dharma. And he is only protecting us actually. That's what Krishnam dharmam sanatanam. And therefore, don't accept anybody's, nowadays, now you are at a position where you just want to relax and do bhakti. It is people like us who have to make strides because somebody has to. Might as well be me. That's the idea. And so, I know this agree to disagree has been a great, in my opinion, a great curse to our society. Because, this agree to disagree means, why should we agree to disagree? We either come to a consensus or we disagree. That's all. We either come to, like with the Jews, we came to a consensus with the Jews saying that all the devatas are referring to the same God and you also referring to the same God. So we are both monotheist only. In Kerala they had something. They came to a consensus and the Jews were very happy. We came to a consensus. With any of the others, we have no consensus. Why should we agree to disagree? Agreeing to disagree means they are under the impression that we are the religion of Satan. We are doomed to be in hell and the only path for salvation for us is through conversion. Why should we agree to disagree? I am not able to understand this concept at all. How can we agree to disagree on something? Our entire astitva is at stake. How can we agree to disagree? We disagree. That's it. And if you agree that we disagree, then we are fine. If you don't agree, then we have another measure. Vivekananda has also been part of us only. You see, there is some level of krudata is important. Okay.
Yeah.
Krodha is also an attribute of Bhagavan. And we must understand that. We are not all hunky-dory and all sad and zen.
No, it's not.
Even just shouting at somebody at a point where you require that is also violence only at some point. No?
Part of the Navarasam. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
लोकाचार्याय गुरवे कृष्णपादस्य सूनवे संसार भोगि संद्रष्ट जीव जीवातवे नमः। जय श्रीमन्नारायण। श्रीमते रामानुजाय नमः।